Hello, everyone. Welcome to my YouTube channel, JP Counselor. I'm JP, and this is Existential versus Gestalt theories. So there are two different theories that we're going to cover today. The first is going to be existential, and then we're also going to cover Gestalt theories. So according to the Corey textbook from 2021, existential theory pursues a balance between recognizing the limits and tragedies of human existence and the opportunities of human life. Existential theory also examines the human existence from 5 different dimensions of the human condition. And those are going to be, first, the capacity for self-awareness. The second is going to be freedom and responsibility. The third is creating an identity and meaningful relationships. The fourth is searching for meaning and purpose. And the fifth is anxiety as a condition of life and awareness of death and non-existence. The focus of existential therapy or theory is to reflect on one's own existence, considering what kind of life one would be worthy to live, and to discover individual strengths and how to implement them to live a more meaningful life. Now, similar to existential theory is Gestalt theory. So they are similar in that they focus on how the individual perceives the world. They emphasize increasing their self-awareness in order to improve their environment and move from environmental to self-support. Gestalt theory also suggests that clients will continue to experience problems when they become something different than what they are, rather than just being who they are, being oneself and true to oneself. The paradoxical theory of change focuses on clients knowing and accepting themselves in order to overcome their psychological problems. And further, Gestalt theory examines a client and their environment, called field theory. This way, counselors can be aware of those, the client can identify those aspects that they're aware of, which are figures, and those that are outside awareness, which would be considered grounds. For strengths and limitations, existential theory focuses on the individual and how they believe they fit into the world. The issue with existential theory is that it may overly focus on the individual and not really take into account how social factors or other factors affect the individual. Whereas Gestalt theory is focused on the whole person within their environment, rather than just the individual. And one of the limitations of Gestalt theory is because it relies on the individual in their environment and how those factors affect them, it can result in high levels of intense feelings. This type of therapy may be inappropriate for those who don't agree with sharing strong feelings. As far as being compatible with Christian concepts, according to the Tan textbook from 2011, existential theory looks to the self in order to determine a need to change. It may be most compatible with the biblical values because it focuses on changing your own behaviors rather than focusing on outside things. However, it does disregard an individual's need to live by a set standard, like focusing on God's standard for us rather than our own standards for ourselves. And this may conflict with the Christian teachings from Proverbs 27:17, which is iron sharpening iron from the New American Standard Bible. For Gestalt theory, it focuses on one day at a time and not dwelling on potentially negative outcomes for the future, kind of like mindfulness, which would be compatible with Matthew 6:25 of not being anxious about the future and just focusing on what God is giving you now. However, this may take away from the idea that we should look to our future rather than this present life, such as said in 1 John chapter 2, verse 15, where it focuses on living within Christ and not living within the world. The limitations of creating measurable outcomes. So in accordance with the Schwitzer and Lawrence textbook from 2015, they describe the need for goals and outcomes to be measurable in order to have a possible positive impact on the client. So existential theory focuses on the individual outside of external factors, while like a out of 10 measures, like on a scale of 1 to 10, how bad is your anxiety today? Those may be helpful as using measurable outcomes. It may not be enough to produce measurable goals for the client. And then as far as Gestalt theory, it focuses on the whole person within the environment that they're in at the time. And counselors may be able to create measurable measures for the client in therapy. So the intensity of the reactions of the client, but still, whether you go from existential or Gestalt, it's very important that counselors are challenging themselves to create measurable goals and measurable outcomes for their clients. And that's it for today on JP Counselor. I look forward to the comment section when we get a chance to share videos and talk with each other. And I hope you all enjoyed today's video, and I will see you all next time.